Hello.
Lynn, Michelle, Resistance Chicks coming back at you with our British posh accents. We love them, you love them.
Because
some of you don't love them, but we love you anyway.
And you know what? I would just like to point out to you that I only said Farage with an SH a couple times in, was it one video or more than one video?
But they had several thousand views.
I'm very sorry.
So everyone keeps thinking that you don't know how to say Farage.
And over. Nigel Farage. He went to CPAC, which is our conservative convention here in America, and it was wonderful that he came with his bright, chipper accent and his chipper smile, and so we wanted to bring him to you. Thank you. And now, without further ado, Nigel
Farage.
I wanted to do the Shiraz in case anybody would catch it.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's so much fun.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Woo, thank you.
2016, we did it. We did it.
You and us
Thank
together again.
Look how happy that bloke
And
looks.
I'm very honoured to be here today.
If you don't like us interjecting a little bit, then just turn it off now. This is
You
fun
may
for
go
us.
find this video somewhere else.
delighted and thrilled that CPAC invited me. Me, a foreigner.
You! Yes!
In your country. But you know, it's a
We
funny
love
thing.
you!
Since November the 8th, since the election of Donald J. Trump, every time I come to America, I'm feeling a little bit more American, I have to tell you.
We won't steal it from you. We won't steal it.
How many of you said we can't have him?
In
We
years
just
to
might.
come,
What if we kidnap him?
the generations that follow us study the history of this period. There is one year that will stand out. There is one year
Yes.
that every school child will know. And that year is the year of 2016.
2016.
Because in 2016 we witnessed the beginning of a global political revolution, and it's one that is not going to stop. It's one that is going to roll out across the rest of the free world.
I wanted to come on the train. I ride it.
I had been fighting against Britain's membership of the European Union
Yes.
for 25 years. 25 years.
You don't look a day
And
over 27.
If you've endured abuse, if you've been called deplorable, you've only had a few months of being abused. 20 years of it.
Touche!
It looks pretty good for all that abuse.
But you know what? None of it mattered. I always believed that we should govern our own country. I always believed we should be free to reach out and make our own deals with our real friends in the world. And it's funny, our real friends in the world speak English, have common law, and stand by us in times of crisis.
Yes! I got goosebumps!
Sorry.
So I battled away for all those years. I thought I might become the patron saint of lost causes. And then the referendum came along, and we were told by vast sections of the media that we couldn't do it. We were told by many of the pollsters we couldn't do it. We were told by many of the commentators. Any of this ring familiar with you guys? We were told by the commentators that we couldn't do it, and they lined up all the big businesses, all the big banks, all the big politics, not just from Britain, but from across the world. Do you know we even had a visit from the 44th President of the United States
Boo!
of
Boo!
America? I will, to my dying day, be grateful that President Obama came to my country, intervened in the referendum, and told the United Kingdom's people, told America's greatest friend and ally in the world, and told us that if we voted to get our independence, we would go to the back of the line. And the British people were so disgusted by Obama treating us like this that it put us up 2% in the polls.
Yay! Thank you, Obama!
Maybe that was his plan all along. Reverse psychology.
So I should always be grateful to Obama. So the great day came,
I better go to American
2013,
tyrant.
2016, and by 3 o'clock in the morning, it was clear that after a period of just after 4 decades, in which our politically corrupt rulers had given away our independence, our democracy, our sovereignty, the ability to make our own laws, the ability to choose our own friends,
Sound
the
familiar?
ability to make the right trade deals
Sound
with the
familiar?
right countries. Oh, and they'd also given away control of our borders.
Sound
And by 3
familiar?
o'clock in the morning,
Sounds like a stick in
June
American
the
Declaration of
24th.
Independence to me.
it was clear the nightmare had come to an end. We had voted to get our
Here,
country
here!
back.
We stand with you for our independence. Free trade deals. Impose your own laws.
Look at all the people are giving him a standing ovation.
I can't tell you how thrilled and pleased that I'd felt. It seemed incredible that people had the courage to stand up against the
Way to
entire
go.
establishment. But the brave
Way to go.
British people did it. Oh, and by the way,
Jolly good.
the last opinion poll says that now 68% of the British people want us to get on with
You're
Brexit.
winning them over. Winning them over with kindness and love and good noggin.
And then a funny thing happened. I went to the Republican convention in Cleveland. And
That's Ohio?
I realised that amongst the Republican activists and amongst the large chunk of the American people, there was something approaching Brexit mania. And I got the opportunity, through my friends in Mississippi, through the governor of Mississippi, I got my opportunity. Would I stand on a platform with Donald J. Trump, and would I tell that audience that what we'd done in Brexit was what you too could do here in America?
Thank you, Nigel Farage.
And I told that audience, don't listen to the pollsters. Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to the commentators. They're trying to break your will. They're trying to make you stay at home. Don't listen to any of them. And I said, we got our country back on June 23rd, and you can get yours back too on November the 8th. And you know
Stick
what?
it to them.
I am pleased and proud that I did that in Mississippi and that I came to America many times in that campaign to give Donald Trump support. I'm proud to have been part of that campaign. I really am.
Don't you want to pinch his little cheeks at this time?
And what I'm seeing 36 days in to the Trump presidency, I'm seeing something quite remarkable.
Here it comes.
I'm seeing an elected leader who is trying to put in place the platform on which he was elected. How about that?
How about that?
How about it, folks?
Because we've had years, haven't we, of people making promises, getting into power, and not even attempting to put into place the things upon which they've been elected. And I believe that Trump, who is determined, and we saw him this morning, didn't we? And wasn't he just superb?
I like it when they say that word
Superb.
better than when we say it. We say too.
No, what Trump is doing
Superb.
by trying to put in place that ticket on which he was elected, he is restoring faith in the democratic process, and good for him. Good for him.
Good for him.
2016
Means democracy
2016 was
in
the
America.
year that the nation-state democracy made a comeback against the globalists and those who would wish to destroy everything that we have ever been.
Yes!
I feel like I'm probably in the
But of
way
course,
of a little Farage.
Trump,
fine.
amazing
He's a big
personality
Farage.
that he is, could not have done it on his own. He had some good people behind him. He had people like Steve Bannon, Kellyanne Conway, and many others. But he also had every single one of you, and this event is your celebration. Well done to all of you. Now, great though the night of June 23rd was, great though the night of November
It's
the
sponsored by
8th
the
was
NRA and Breitbart.
my favourite part of 2016 wasn't so much the victories, no. My favourite part of that evening of November the 8th was watching the faces of the CNN presenters.
I have to say, my life will never be the same. Watching them
And
melt.
you know what?
It was at the end of Wizard of Oz when you put the...
They haven't given up, have they?
No.
They are in deep denial. They would like to wind the clock back to 2015.
Can we have do-over
to
like that
pretend none
Brexit
of this
do-over?
had ever happened. But just as Brexit becomes more popular by the day, President Trump will become more popular in America by the day.
It's actually true. It's happening.
No, they won't give up. And some of their biggest cheerleaders, I'm thinking of Tony Blair in particular. Oh, wow. So he's popular here too, is he? Fine, good. I think of people like Tony Blair, who says that 2016 was just a blip. 2016 was an aberration. 2016 was just an outpouring of anger from very poorly educated, stupid, virtually unwashed people. That's what Blair thinks.
Virtually unwashed.
Virtually
But Tony
unwashed.
Blair is wrong. He's wrong because what happened in 2016 is not the end of this great global revolution. What
only
happened
just
in
begun.
2016 is the beginning of a great global revolution.
Yes.
And this will roll out across the rest of the West. We've got some very exciting elections coming up in the Netherlands, in France, in Germany,
I don't know who's running
possibly even in
against
Italy. And believe me, I don't yet know whether the results in 2017 will be as dramatic as the results in 2016. But what I do know is that even if the challengers don't get over the line in this year, what they will do is shift the centre of gravity of the entire debate. Because what is happening across Europe, is people are rejecting this form of supranational government. They're rejecting the idea of being governed by a bunch of unelected old men in Brussels. Although I'm very grateful to these unelected old men because I've had some real sport with them in the European Parliament.
Oh, yes, you have. We love it. I wish
And
you
they're
would do more.
rejecting the absolute madness and idiocy of what Angela Merkel did 18 months ago when she opened up her doors.
That lady. She's
And
crazy.
we've got to be clear. We're not against anybody based on religion or ethnicity. We're not against anybody, but we're for ourselves. We're for our country. We're for our communities. We're for making our people safe and with less risk from global terror. That is what we're for. That is what we're for. And we're for our country. And we're for our people. And we are winning!
Here, here, here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yay! Well done, old chap. That was fantastic.
That could not be any better.
No, it was great.
Could not be any better.
Oh my gosh, it was so great. It was fantastic.
Thank you, Nigel Farage.
Yes, thank you,
never
Mr.
cease to
Farage.
amaze. I watched an interview with him. Somebody had sent me, and he says that when you're giving a speech, go ahead. He goes. He thinks about it in the shower. Don't read from notes. Speak from your heart, and that's what he does every time. And that's why he's so much more eloquent than Donald Trump. And he speaks it like it is so perfectly every time. It just flows right out. I don't even think he's.
But Donald has his own isms that are adorable. and endearing and get the point across just very quickly.
All right, well, this one has been right up there, one of the best. It's so fun to see him so alive and so happy and joyous, and I really believe 2017 is going to be another great year.
So we actually did something in the middle, and I'm kind of wondering impromptu to ask Leah, I think we should put it at the end.
Yes, okay, so we're going to do a intro to the
We
middle
should.
and to the end.
Yeah, because I think we're going to cut it out
Yeah.
so you will not have seen it. But we did it in the middle.
Right.
But we didn't want to stop Farage's speech.
Right.
So we're going to cut it and put it here at the end. I don't know if we can do that.
Yeah,
We can?
totally. Yeah, we can do it. It's our thing. I can do it.
Okay.
And our thing.
All right, so we want to give you guys, and we didn't want to lose any of our, and Leah says this, any of our UK, because we love you guys, and it's like, we're feeling it with you, we're feeling the love, okay?
Yes.
But there is kind of a
There's
huge
so many
parallel.
parallels between American independence and
Stick with us.
and independence from the European Union, and so I kind of wanted to explain that to you so that we can be on the same page.
Let me just reiterate one more time. I'm going to repeat myself in a minute here when you watch this. There's a lot that we were not taught in America about European history, specifically about the UK. There's so much that in American public schools we just don't learn.
Right.
I'm going to take a gander that there's a lot that you guys don't learn either about American history. So we want to just kind of lay it out there, then you can make your own choice. At least watch it and see. Those of you that are Brexiters.
Okay, you're going to hear this again. You're going to hear this in a second. But he mentioned a lot of things. In the EU, you're not allowed to make your own trade deals. You're taxed without your consent.
This is our Declaration
This
of
is our
Independence.
Declaration of Independence. And there's so many things that if you read what the colonists were upset about, it runs so parallel, but it's even worse, which is why in a tyrant, there were so many worse things happening, which is why they actually had to go to war.
Right.
You were so blessed to be able to just vote your
yourself
way out.
before it was too late, because at some point the European Union might create an army.
What if EU had a standing army and they were in your house?
Right.
What if they were in your home?
In your country.
Exactly, quartering large bodies of armed troops among us.
And taxing you and,
protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of this state. Imagine EU soldiers
are allowed
not
to commit
being
murder
prosecuted for murdering a Briton.
within your
A
state.
Brit.
So, okay, so that's...
Like the immigrants?
Imagine in many cases you were given a trial by jury.
And like my mom just pointed out, the peanut gallery, that's actually kind of what's happening with the immigrants. They're really protected. They're kind of above the law.
Taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of the governments that were already set up.
Right.
And that's what's happening a little bit in the EU. And
They
this is
said
really
that.
powerful, and if you didn't watch the Le Pen video, I want to give you just a quick little primer here. I don't want to lose all my UK people. I want to catch the fire and show you how we can join together. We had some comments on how America, we had our independence and maybe we shouldn't have done our independent thing. But here's the thing, if you listen to his speech, what he's saying is that individual people need to have individual liberties and be able to make their own vote. Now, if you look at the European Union as a set of states, and it's very interesting because there's 28 nations in the EU, I believe, 13 original colonies. And Americans weren't able to make their own laws. They didn't have representatives. And as I kept thinking about the parallels between the EU trying to come up with its own army, its own flag, its own national sovereignty, and everybody, you guys in Britain, you would say, no, no, no! We want national sovereignty. We want our own rights. Well, that's what the Americans felt.
And the Americans, they weren't just Americans at that time. They were first, second, third generation Europeans and Britons and
Exactly.
stuff like that. So we are you.
And they didn't want to go to war, and they didn't have the opportunity that you had to vote yourself out. If they could have voted themselves out, there would have been a different way out. And while we're here, I know you're like, I want to hear Farage, but I wanted to give you guys just a glimpse into our Declaration of Independence, because this is the same thing that you're saying in Britain. We're saying the same thing. Why? Because deep inside of you and deep inside of me is the same thing. Is the same thing, the same power that's rising up.
It's the gospel of Jesus Christ for liberty.
It's the gospel of Jesus Christ for liberty. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of and nature's God entitled them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to that separation. Now, no one should throw these off with light or transient causes, which is what our founding documents say. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and among these are the right to
life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and as John Locke says, property.
That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the what?
Oh, the consent of the governed.
And so, what you're saying in Britain and France is you need to derive your powers from the consent of us. We don't serve the government. The government serves the people. And at the time of American independence, they were subservient. And so, that whenever a form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to have them, as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and their happiness. When you have somebody that is miles away of ocean, you can't protect their safety or their happiness, just like you say, I don't want Brussels ruling me in Britain. You can Skype them, you can talk to them, you can drive to them in a day, but you can't. It's 2 or 3 weeks by boat through a letter. You can't send your representations, and I just want you to be able to put yourself in the mind of an American colonist of the day who was just trying to get up and farm every day, and then they've got these arbitrary rules, arbitrary laws, arbitrary taxes put on them with no representation. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. This was not without much thought, you guys, much prayer, much anguish, knowing what would happen. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer
while evils are sufferable
than to right themselves by abolishing the forms with which they are accustomed. If you guys had to go to war with the EU, I know you wouldn't do that, okay? Because you would rather suffer.
Right.
While it was sufferable, but you had the chance to vote yourself out.
But I think a lot of you actually would go to war.
But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, advices a design to reduce them under absolute
despotism. Despotism.
It is their right.
It is their
duty to throw off such a government and to provide new guards for their future security. Because you can't secure the American borders from that far away. You can't make these things happen. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations.
And that's what I said earlier. If it had been somebody else that was in power at the time, this may not have happened.
Exactly.
But at that time, the present king was putting on constraints on
he was establishing absolute tyranny.
Right.
Over the states.
Mary
and to prove
somebody.
this,
Who did John Locke get along with? Mary and...
William and Mary. Let the facts be submitted. And you can look. He was refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He's forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. When so suspended, he has utterly neglected then to attend to them. He refuses to pass other laws for the combination of large districts of people, unless these people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature. They had to relinquish their rights. A right inestimable to them and forbiddable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from their public records. You can't get together to even talk to things. The sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. If these things were happening to you, you would stand up and fight. You would not allow these to happen. He has refused for a long time. And the declaration goes on, imposing taxes without our consent, for cutting off our trade with other parts of the world, for quartering large bodies of troops among us. What does that sound like? It kind of sounds like, even in a way, the migration of refugees just going into people's houses.
Army.
And a standing army. So anyways, I just wanted to give that as we are together. We fought the same fight 250 years ago against a tyrant and recognized that it wasn't the English people against the American people. It was a tyrant against the American people.
Right.
And you guys don't have a tyrant now, and you're going to have Great Britain back, and you're going to have sovereignty back, and you're going to be created under God. What we have right now is a Second Amendment, and hopefully you'll get one too.
We actually don't, these people are not our ancestors. Our ancestors came over on a boat after the Declaration of Independence. So when we say these are our people, listen, when I just feel, because I'm an American, I feel like we are you. America comes from Europe. So our founding fathers are British. They are, from like,
listen to this,
various places.
Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of the attempts by their legislator to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and our correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must, therefore, acquiesce to the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends.
And so here's the awesome part about that sentence, and I have goosebumps. We're in peace and we are friends. And we're more than friends, we're family. And
right.
So I really feel like we have this really amazing common bond with our cousins in the United Kingdom.
Right.
And so we just want you guys to know that
it says we need to absolve
support
ourselves
you.
from the British Crown so that we can be free and independent states, to have full power to levy war, to conclude peace, to contract alliances, to establish
It's
commerce,
exact same
and to do
stuff
all the other
Farage
acts and
just
things
said.
which independent states may of right do. And that's all that the American colonies were asking. And I'm hoping that in this, that we can really have a tie, because I want you to know that we are backing and supporting everyone in Europe who wants to be independent.
Absolutely.
All the states. France wants to be independent. Britain, you want to be independent. You want to make your own laws. You want to be represented. You don't want people to just make random laws about you. And so we are with you.
Right. All right, you guys, do you want me to cut it off here before we do the ending?
We'll do the ending again.
We didn't
Like,
do the ending
comment,
yet.
and subscribe. This is good. We're at the end.
Resistance
Like we
Chicks.
should.
Mass Faith 3.
Oh, say.
Subscribe.
You see?
And find us on Facebook. I don't know why we're doing this, but it works. Okay.
Ring bell.
I was cold all alone. No place for